Hi. Hello.
Pleasure to meet you. Good afternoon.
Dear colleagues, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ganhuyag, Mr. Gan, who can talk who is one of our esteemed leaders, Mongolian leaders, and also in fact an old, long-time friend and partner to IFC as well, as being the founder and the manager, the CEO of the husband, IFC's client in the world. Please welcome.
Welcome to Mongolia. It's a beautiful time of day where in a span of 24 hours basically you get to experience 4 seasons. And we don't have 4 seasons as a hotel here, so I hope you enjoy the hotel facilities, enjoy the gear and the outdoors, and see to yourselves what we as a nation, as the people, stand for, what we have accomplished so far, and what we are set out to accomplish in the coming years. You can call me Gan. I'm from Mongolia, based in Mongolia, work for Mongolia. Used to work for IFC though, who became first investor from multilateral institutions, international financial institutions, to invest in the bank that we were founding through technical assistance, then various loans, and then as equity shareholder. So I have a little bit of knowledge about of IFC, of its people. Have met consecutive top managers inside IFC, and also probably saw you at various events, IFC-sponsored, World Bank-sponsored events around the globe. I am married, 4 kids, all 4 boys, not by design.
A lot of energy right there.
Yeah, was born here, started working when I was 17 at the stock exchange, which was just founded at that time. I had an option to go study at the university, but since everybody was doing it, I decided to do something else, and I don't regret it. Worked there for 1 year, then became obvious that it's not my place, so started doing something else. I was still 18 years old when I got engaged in the trading between China and Russia. So my family would buy stuff on Monday and Tuesday in China, pack it up, load it on the plane, and fly to Moscow, sell it over the weekend, and come back next Monday to China. So we made quite a bit of money between 90 and 93 when my father died. At that time, just before he died, I decided to finally enter university, so I went to study in Hungary, where I got a bachelor degree in business administration at the Hungarian University of Economics, which is called now Corvinus University. Have 2 brothers. When I came back, I decided to do private business because I paid for it myself. Probably was the first guy to ever get an education and paying for it myself. Didn't work, so for 2 months I tried to engage in some sort of different businesses, making ice cream, selling on the street. Bought 5 fridges, hired 5 girls, was making the cones and putting the ice cream in, mixing all the milk and the different vanilla powder, etc. And so it went on quite well for 2 months, but then I got a phone call, which was from Paul, who's the CEO of Ganhuyag Financial Group. He used to be deputy governor at the central bank. Here you come from Hungary. I graduated from there. Why don't you come work for the central bank? So that's how I got into the financial services again. In one of the
actually met Mr. Bolt.
That's how we met. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He used to work at World Bank after he graduated from Columbia in 2005. I basically hunted him down in Washington and brought him over. He became a bank president, and then he became a CEO when I stepped up to the position of the Ganhuyag Financial Group, and then I asked him to fill that role when I was asked by the Prime Minister to join the government. And, so that's, in brief, my history. I enjoy this type of trainings. I've done a couple of those executive trainings with the Center for Creative Leadership, the Leadership Development Program. I really enjoyed it. 2005 of this, and then have done various executive programs with as a young global leader with the World Economic Forum. They provide these unique opportunities, different modules that they co-organize with Harvard and Kennedy School and Yale University. So I got nominated as a YGL in 2009 by Dutch guys. I must say I'm pretty close with Dutch in general. They're the largest contingent of investors in Husbank. And Princess Maxima was a spokesperson for microcredit at the UN, and so we're very close friends. But then they visited us here with Prince William Alexander. They awarded me the Transparency Award. In fact, it was by SIGA. Yeah. So this is it, and I'm doing what I'm doing right now for 1.5 years. I had to make a very tough call when the Prime Minister asked me to, the end of 2010, to take this position of Vice Minister. Of course, this is was a process, a learning process for me, and I think I'm ready for 28th of June when Mongolians will go to the polls and elect our parliament. And it's interesting for me to also have an experience in the private sector, have certain international experience also, and now enter into local politics and try to run for the parliament from a district which you can see from here. It's this one and all the way to the mountains, 30 kilometers from here to. It's about 100,000 people. It's interesting also in a sense that probably I'm the only banker from all the people who are running. I'll bring, I hope I'll bring something different to the table. It's interesting for me personally because Mongolia is undergoing such enormous changes. So the weather outside is indicative of what kind of transformations are taking place in this society. I'm a highly symbolic type, and I'm a bit superstitious. I'm not very religious, but I believe in good omen and good signs, and I think the skies are really blessing Mongolia towards what I have come up with a term for this phenomenon, which I call wolf economy. Have you heard about the wolf? Anyone? No. Okay. The wolf.
That's not the word.
I told you there is something in there. Mongolians, have you read anything about Genghis Khan?
Yes.
Secret History?
Yes.
Jack Rutherford? Jack Rutherford.
Yes.
So in Secret History, basically Jack Rutherford, in his Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World, also he kind of examines the secret history, and when the secret history starts, you can find a paragraph there about the origins of Mongols. Have you heard about the blue spot? Blue spot. Yeah, if you have Wi-Fi here and if you have iPad, or I will circulate my iPad here, I will illustrate on Wikipedia the blue spot. Oh, by the way, these two kids also had blue spots. Yeah, there is a scientific explanation to it. You know. It disappears by the time when we're 3, 4. And the popular belief, as explained in the secret history, is that it is from the wolf father. And our mother is a deer. And we come from the blue wolf and the brown deer. The wolf was sent from the sky. And we are the country where, before introduction of Buddhism, we worship skies. So if you go on top of the hills on the way to Terals, there are small hills, and on top you'll see, piles of rocks with sticks in it and blue ribbons tied all around. It's highly symbolic of the blue skies. We call the country of blue skies. Which minister did you meet?
We met MP Oyun.
Oyun, okay. If you met Zarek, he will talk about energy. And this country is one of the sunniest places on earth. And I think IFC is engaged with some of the projects how to exploit on how to exploit wind and solar energy. So coming back to the blue spot, because we were linked with the wolf, and everybody knows about Asian tigers. Everyone lives currently under the rise of the Asian dragon. Russian bear has been up and down in the last decade. Putin rules again, and we symbolize nations with different animals. What we wanted, what I thought, when Renaissance Capital, a good friend of mine who used to work at Renaissance Capital, came here to write a report, the first investment report on Mongolia 3 years ago. We sat down in my home after dinner, like we did yesterday also. He's here. Hence the red eyes. We started talking what to name the report. He eventually named it Mongolia, land of blue sky opportunity, which was kind of also good, because wolf is not necessarily an animal that you want to associate with men. Wolf is a predator. We scare kids with the wolves, etc. So my mission here right now, is to show the good side of the wolf. The wolf, as opposed to bears and tigers or other animals, is an animal that can come in packs. It can survive in plus 40, minus 40. It can live in the mountains, it can live in the woods, it can live in the desert, it can live on the steppes. It has a huge attributes that differentiate it from other animals, because it's a survivor, it's flexible, it's fast, it's very cunning, it's smart, and it has lived together with nomads, roaming the steppes throughout the years. So there's a book that I could recommend to you on the way back through Beijing. A guy called Zhang Rong, a Chinese guy, wrote a book which is called Wolf Totem. It's about Mongolia and how Mongols have survived even Mongols have survived, were living during the Cultural Revolution in the 60s and 70s, but they go into explaining how the wolf was an integral part of the Mongolian social, the way of life phenomena. And it's interesting because we killed the wolves, but he also explained it in that book. The guy got in 2006, he got Man Asia Award for that book, so it's a very good book that I could really recommend to you for reading. So what I want the wolf economy to be different from tigers, for example. Scattered on a territory the size of Western Europe, the challenges that we face are enormous. To link it up with the infrastructure, provide education, basic public services, etc. And then to be in a position to make this country capitalize on the mineral wealth, proximity to China, and make it a bit different, so that from other experiences, so that everyone benefits equitably from the mining wealth, and not just everyone who's living today or during this part of the history, the first half of the 21st century, but how to distribute the wealth through the time across the generations, so that people from 500 years from now, when we have exhausted all natural resources, will still benefit from the riches that our ancestors have left to us. And that's why I want the wolf to be symbolic of that. It is possible to achieve that. Hence my entering into politics. After I coined the term, it was not by design, but I believe that Mongolian people have suffered enormously in the past. We were under different rules for the last 300 years. We once used to rule the world, but the 3 million people on a vast territory with vast reaches being now at the center of global attention as an investment destination because of the different factors. I think focusing on education, focusing on the health, focusing on justice, and I think we can make it a small little paradise in the middle of Asia, where people could come to organize different trainings, do sightseeing, go shopping, come here for medication, and maybe this place one day the thing that I call the wolf economy can become an example of how our underdeveloped and poor nation can show to the rest of the world how we can bring in the latest technologies in terms of environmentally friendly technologies, eco-friendly solutions for everything that we do, because we're starting from the scratch. And I think this city could become, maybe not this one, but maybe we should move elsewhere to start building new cities. And the challenge is enormous, and me and in politics I have a goal to spread the word and maybe make this dream happen. So I'm sorry for this diversion, but maybe I should.
That was fascinating. In fact, one thing I want to share is we are staying in the guest in a place called Wenjin Lodge. And somehow it was written 4 seasons. We mentioned 4 seasons, right? And then today we realized why it's called the 4 Seasons Lodge, because we could see all the 4 seasons within the last week, including this one. So
you stayed overnight yesterday?
Yes. We've been here all week.
Okay.
We've been here all week.
So if we may.
Thank you very much for that very fascinating history. I must confess that I have been reading so many books that there is a lot of information there, but you've really summarized it well for me there. This group is very fascinated by your leadership experience, starting as a student leader, moving into the financial sector, almost single-handedly restructuring the microfinance sector in Mongolia and probably innovating so widely that it's a model that's being followed elsewhere, and then establishing a bank and then moving into your current role. Could you just tell us how you've experienced this process yourself and the key milestones that you think you can identify that might help us as a team to go forward?
Well, I had the benefit of my youth when I was starting this business. I had, at that time, I've done 1 year at the central bank and 1 year at the stock exchange, 1 year as a private entrepreneur, but I was still 25. So I was earning about $20 a month. I had a wife and my first kid. So it's hard to basically survive. So you know, when you are pressed into that kind of situation, you start thinking. And I was constantly on the move, you know, looking for things to do, you know, whether it was a translation here and there, working during the night on the translation of different advisors and consultants' reports for $5 a page was helping me to make my living. But at the same time, I think I had the enormous ambition all the time, and probably most people were laughing at me, at my back, because of the things that I was saying to them in terms of what I could do to help them to start their business, etc. So, but nobody believed me. So, in the end, I get pissed off with the central bank because I didn't really want to be a small piece of a big machine, and somebody else was, you know, driving. And so one day I just woke up and said, "That's enough." You know, these guys didn't even ask me when they closed down the big bank, which I was overseeing. So they met over the weekend. They didn't call me. And they made that decision to shut down that bank, and as a result, we had 3-4 different governments fail because of that move. But I was the first to move, so I started looking for a job, and MicroStart came, UNDP's MicroStart project. And when I joined them, I felt microfinance is something that could help me transform this the way people were living, because I truly believe that giving small credit to people would enable them to look for opportunities. They will start working hard, make money, repay their loans, get bigger loans, and graduate from microloans to SME loans, or maybe one day they will find jobs and graduate from micro banking altogether. So I was inspired by Grameen's story, but I was inspired more by the Bragg story. There is Asha in Philippines, and etc. Then, and exactly at that time, people started talking about commercial microfinance. So I truly believed in the formula where all the expenses and risk were equal to the interest that was charged for those microloans. And I started advocating for them. And but then at the same time, you know, it was important for us to look at the sustainability of the model. So how to be a sustainable institution in doing something that from the first sight was not commercially viable, because you're talking about giving $100 loans, driving 500 kilometers to 2,000 kilometers, all the way out in the countryside, finding these people, interviewing them, taking no collateral, giving that out, getting their signatures, and then expecting them to repay that loan in installments every month. So it was kind of a strange idea to many people, but I was convinced. I think the one thing that leads to success is, of course, the personal conviction that you can do things. And there is a good saying to that effect, Mary Ashkay, who said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you cannot, you're right. So,
and actually, Kang, in that context, I took a note when you introduced yourself that you, at some point, you made this personal decision to stay back while the flow was going outside the country. And so, what was that trigger point that you decided to, stay here rather than, go and perhaps live elsewhere and make money? I mean,
well, I don't think I was ever tempted to live abroad. So I've seen places, I've traveled more or less, but I somehow felt really enormous relief whenever I would get home. So home is, I think everyone has the same feeling. So I could, in that regard, I was weak. I couldn't stand the thought of me leaving my country and living amongst complete strangers. So it has never occurred to me. Yeah. So there was no decision to make, so to say.
it was natural.
Yeah, just
So, Mr. Kang, so if I want to pick up on this one, given the fact that you have the opportunity to go to Hungary, it must have been a big challenge for you, and how this challenge may have shaped your way of seeing your leadership after coming back here.
Can you paraphrase?
You say that you had the opportunity to study in Hungary.
Hungary.
So how this has shaped your way of seeing things when you came back?
Well, certainly, being a road for your university, being in a group, a very diverse group of international students, and leading your own life and making decisions, managing your own finances, and it gives you certain new experiences, new skills that not necessarily everyone here would have. So, but my biggest score in the 90s was the language. I spoke Russian, I spoke Hungarian, and I spoke English. So language was a huge plus, I think, in terms of me being selected for certain tasks or some new jobs. Yeah. So when you're abroad, I tell people when in staff meetings and or whenever I have certain speeches to youth, I think when you see an object such as this one from close up, you see certain things, but you don't see really, what it is if you study it from too closely. So I think just climbing on top of that mountain here, Bothan Mountain, gives you a perspective of what this city is. But being inside the city doesn't necessarily give you an idea. So that's the same with issues and challenges in life. So I try to take a deep breath, forget about the issue for a second, and try to move yourself emotionally from the problem. And then things will come in the new light. So I think that's what I was doing instinctively all the time. But I started realizing when I hit about 30 that's what I was doing. And all the new ideas, innovations that I was doing, all the crazy things that at first sight seemed impossible, highly improbable. The guy who hired me to Microstar said, there was over 100 people who were applying for that job. There was a written examination, there was a verbal examination, there was this group test. The guy said, you came in first, but you're too young to lead this project. So we gonna let you grow old, and in the meantime, you will become my second in the organization, and I will be the program manager. And within 8 months, I got what I wanted. So I started as a finance manager. Then in 3 months, I became operational manager, and I was doing all the shots. I didn't carry the title. And then by May of '99, I was promoted to be the CEO of the first non-bank financial company in Mongolia. So it was highly important. But then immediately when I got promoted, later I read that you should not let complacency creep into anything that you're doing. So but that was later. At that time I didn't know that. I didn't know the word complacency. I started thinking how to actually transform that organization into a bank so that we could start taking deposits.
Yeah, okay. A related question is, about 10 years ago when Hasbank was very, very small, and probably you could not really pay a lot to the people who work for you. How do we attract good people, talented people to work for the new organization?
Yeah, at that time, in '99, we decided to start a PR. So we didn't want to promote ourselves as a micro or as a bank for poor. And what I always believed was that, and I was saying it on many events, that people cannot be poor. Poor can be the roads, poor can be the governments, poor can be their pockets, but not the person. How can a person be poor? If the person has a courage, a dream, a will to learn and educate and develop themselves and help other people. So the person cannot be poor. So I always try to advocate that we should not be calling our people poor. Only bad people call their people or other people poor, because poor is a bad word. So when the government came up with a poverty reduction program, or poverty, and then the first sentence there would say, only poor people will qualify for this program. It was a kind of a shock to me, because you kind of label people and make them admit that they're poor. They would come to you and beg, basically. So you are making an official effort to train your people to become beggars, poor people. So that's what I said at many events with donors, multilaterals, that we should be very careful with the words that we choose for our programs. I think, hence many people use low income. We call affordable housing. We call give different names. But if you call a district for the poor, I think it will be a disastrous solution. So the same goes for hiring people. What I said in the first year in my speech to students at that time was that one day you will see that I will make microfinance an industry that people will want to work in, and I will make this bank a sexy bank that people will have a desire to work in. So people criticize me. Why do you wear this tie and this expensive stuff? Why do you drive this car while you go to a village and try to give the small loans? You are almost like a donor. You should dress like a well, I don't want to offend anyone, but an NGO type, Say, no, I'm a banker guy. I will wear my red tie and walk into that village and do my meetings and inspire people to do more about themselves. For them, it is important to have a role model. If I dress like a, that type, and go there, how can I go and pretend that I'm trying to help them? How will they get a notion that I'm successful and they should learn from me? And how they will learn to trust me if I couldn't make it on my own? So I need to show success in order for people to come and believe that I can help them. Otherwise, if I'm a loser, why would anyone come to me and ask me to give them a loan, or offer help? So sorry, I'm elaborating a bit too much, but at the same time, we took this notion of corporate social responsibility to a new level and tried to make impact not only just by me giving microcredit, but we said, okay, we're going to become the most responsible corporate. So in 1999, I was named the best finance manager by the Chamber of Commerce. We got, since then, every year awards from the Chamber of Commerce, different regards. And one of the prizes that we get is the corporate social responsibility. So we said, okay, let's create an NGO. Let's donate part of our salary. The organization will match, shareholders will match that donation from the employees. We have that NGO running. We help kids. And we help, keep the environment clean with their money. And we have a football team, professional team. We have a basketball team. We lost yesterday in the championship. So we lost the cup. So we did quite a bit of things that were way beyond our mandate as a pure microfinance institution. So always thinking outside the box and thinking bigger than you are allowed to, I think leads to people trusting you, coming to you. And Bank is, I think, in many ways, one of the best employers. Yesterday, one guy came to me and said, okay, I didn't know that I was awarded so many shares. So when I sold my shares that you have given me in the last 10 years, I got $10,000, and it was a credit officer.
So it's official, guys. You can wear your red ties to the village.
Well, in this regard, first you have to kind of confess that it's really very inspirational, especially your own personal story. You clearly have seen the ups and downs, and from the time that you were making the end meets and what was in struggle to where you are today. It's really inspirational, and the quote that comes to my mind is, when going gets tough, tough gets going. My question to you is, what was exactly driving you? Because most of the people, the tendency is when you chips are down, you descend into kind of hopelessness, and you give hope and lose courage. What was that thing that was driving you that you can make it, and you finally made it where you did?
Well, I don't think I was doing all the decisions consciously. So, if anything, some of the decisions that I was doing were self-destructive. So the decision to merge two organizations, give up my position, and create Bank, and in 2002, I think was one of those. I didn't know that I will win in that battle. It was a guy who was 20 years older than me, ex-Deutsche Banker, who was my counterpart, and they took the chairman position also, the merger partner. But I believe I think it is important to for managers to sometimes take yourself out of the picture and say what will be best for your organization and for the things that you said you would stand for. I thought at that time that deposit-taking institution and eventually a commercial bank, which will be the best commercial bank in Mongolia, eventually, was in the interest of my shareholders, my employees, and the clients, and the country in general. So when I went on different consulting assignments later, when the transaction took place, when I came out the winner, the people started inviting me to different countries and help them sort out the different organizational restructurings, mergers, acquisitions, bank transformations. One thing that stood always in the way was the ambition of the manager. So people don't like threats to their careers, basically. So I think being selfless, and if you have an idea, making sure that you see through all the way to the end is some quality that I don't know where I get from, but I want to get things done, no matter how long it takes, whether it takes 5 years. I gave up on one project, which is Hasbank entering China, because I was called into a different position, but the guys are still trying to get a license in China, but I worked for that for 5 years, and I guess some people would call me stubborn idiot, but I'm convinced that we're doing the right thing. It's what, 5 years now since I started going to China?
Yeah, but they are getting it now, and then you will release now or next month in Xinjiang.
Yeah, so it will be done, so I'm happy, but something that I started.
It's interesting to hear about a lot of the natural qualities you have as a leader. You mentioned the training that you took. What out of the training did you learn about leadership or about yourself that gave you perspective?
Well, I found out only unpleasant things during all the feedback that I was receiving. I still have it on tapes. I'm afraid to open them, so it's been... So basically I gave up because all the test material was coming out completely the opposite direction of what I thought I was, So all the people who I used to work with, all the friends and bosses thought of me differently. I was perfectionist. I was impossible to sit in one room, just have a coffee because there was a bit too much focus on the detail, so and control freak and etc. So all these Briggs Myers and this stuff that you do. I scored in terms of control higher than an admiral of the U.S. Navy and that shocked me. I thought I'm a nice guy doing, nice things, engaged in a nice business, helping people out, but didn't turn out to be that way. And then in 2008, I was assigned a coach. In 2008, I told that organization that it was hopeless and I will die the way I am, and I gave up basically. So I canceled the program and I asked her to work with my people. So they started working with my successors.
Can I take a pause at this point just to think, because we are actually going through the same process, not about not always returning results. I just want to see that in any of us, is it sounding something that is a little bit familiar?
It's very familiar. And very gratifying to be honest, because I've just come out of the same process with a lot of negative feedback, and I'm it's interesting to hear, because as I experienced the module 2 of this leadership program, I realized that there were a lot of common challenges, even amongst my peers, in terms of what you just mentioned, the sort of micromanaging and controlling, and now listening to you, it's kind of, I can relate to it. And what you would have gone through when you heard about all the feedback.
Yeah. I think, being a doer and doing whatever it takes is not necessarily good on relationships. So it's hard to have friends. You will not get invited to parties, birthdays, whatever. My brother is the complete opposite. Yesterday I was passing by and by his yard, and I saw all of his friends there, like 20 people parked outside his house, and they're doing it every weekend. You know, I have to force people to come.
Does it concern you, or do you feel okay with it?
Well, I'm exaggerating it, but it's hard to have manage relationships like close friendships if you're busy all the time, and if you're obsessed with an idea and you cannot even listen to what other people are trying to say about their lives, for example. So I don't know what the kind of balance. I hope I'm striking some balance, but probably my wife doesn't think so. But I think the family factor, the understanding and supporting partner is really important. Yesterday I had my friends come over to one place. I called her at 4 to let her know that I'm coming with people. And she understood that it was important, and she didn't make a big scandal out of it. So the dinner was served and everybody was happy, and yeah, I have red eyes now.
Atira wanted to comment.
Thanks, Gavin. Mr. Gunn, I'm curious, you've shared with us your experience in Housebank, working with your employees, which are obviously very close to you, your shareholders, and your own sort of your private life and your friends and your family. The decision to move into politics and sort of move your base from the bank to, you said, 100,000 constituents at least. What drove that decision? And I come from a country where politics is considered anything but sexy. So I'm curious as to how you infuse some of that drive that you had at Housebank into politics.
The bonus and salary was not the motivation. I have $600 salary. I think I wanted to do it instinctively, but I was denying it to journalists who were asking when I would become a public servant. In 2008, after the elections, parliamentary elections, we had riots. 5 people were killed, and the building was burned down on allegations that there was some fraud during the elections. And it was just allegations, but people were convinced that something went wrong, and people who they didn't vote for came to power. And that was openly propagated by known leaders. I didn't agree with that. Housebank branches, a couple of them were also run down by the mob. And we were very close to losing it as a nation, as a sovereign nation. And that made me think hard. So I thought July, I thought August, I thought in September, and I said, okay, what the heck? I will run into local politics. So I ran for the city parliament, and I lost. But that was the decision-making process. I thought many people, and including my wife and my mother, and my board, of course, and were 100% against it. So they would try to convince me not to do it. And they were right from their perspective, because it's hard on me personally, and it's hard on them. All the public media attention, negative press that you get, that's something that I get really surprised about, because I was a guy who everybody used to only say nice things about, how hard he works, how smart he is, and he's doing right stuff. the morning that I got appointed as a vice minister, I got all the crap. So to me, having worked in the private sector for 10 years, being, reaching the middle age, I think I had seen it. I didn't want to become the richest grade in the graveyard. I thought, okay, let me do something else and see where I can go, so that in a way enriching myself, my experience in this life, because I try to illustrate to young people the importance of trying to prolong your life by experiencing more. And then I illustrate it with skiing. So you can go. Yeah. There's a slope here, 1.2 kilometers. Basically, it takes 15 minutes to climb up on the lift, and then 30 seconds to go down. So I try to think of my life as, my parents meeting, what was the chance, the chance that they decided to marry, give me a birth, what was the chance. That was a hard process to make me who I am. And so going up the lift, then I hit the slopes, and then do I want to just go, or do I enjoy it? Alpine skiing. So you can actually make 1 kilometer slope feel like on your legs like 3 kilometers. If you go in big, how do you call it, swings? How do you call this? Turns. But what I do, I not only do that, but I use the full length or the width of the slope. So I go, and then I go, and then I go. So I go. And then people ask me why. But I said, it takes me 5 minutes now to go down. So actually, even in terms of time, you can prolong your life by doing different things. So I'm in 20 different boards. I'm a president of the Mongolian Students' Union, president of many clubs, and founder of many clubs, founder of many businesses, and board member of many associations, sports associations, etc. So it's like leading in the 70 years that the sky has given me. I probably will have experienced by the time I'm done. Probably I'll get tired. So that's the thing that I want to do. But at the same time, living a life of at least 5 other people. That's the conscious type of a decision that I try to make, by spreading myself too thin and going around and trying to master everything, like skiing or riding a bike or running or going to Switzerland last year. I did first time in my life a marathon. Skiing. So stepped on the skis and did it. And did the half marathon. And the sheer motivation for me was that my plane was at about 1 o'clock. I was starting the marathon at 9, and I had to make it. It was in Gadin Marathon in St. Moritz, and so I won. And I learned how to run on the skating stuff.
Actually, because as you say, you have a lot, great expectations for your country. You're talking about this world economy, you're talking about the natural resources of this economy, the proximity to China, take advantage of this. There's so much to do in this country. So what is your vision? What are the challenges? I remember I was in the finance ministry in Mexico many years ago, 20-something years ago. And at that time, we were looking at the opportunities in the U.S., in a country that for years at least was, in a way, overwhelming us. In your case, you're talking about China from the perspective of the opportunities that China offers to Mongolia. So could you share with us your views about your vision about Mongolia? and the role that you would like to play in this issue?
I received a phone call, but in October of 2000, I was the Prime Minister. I was his advisor. I was still doing my advising on economic and development matters. But when I got it, so I came. I said, sit down. And why don't you become Vice Minister of Finance? I didn't get anything. No. So, anything else? I said, okay, so close business. So I went on the road show, came back after a month, I completely forgot about that conversation. Then I received a phone call on Friday. And he says, did you think about my offer? Which offer? Well, the thing I told you, when are you going to start? I said, no, I have commitments. I have my shareholders, I have board meetings, and we are entering China. I have to finish up things. I told you I'm going to run for parliament from my current position as advisor to the Prime Minister. Then, okay, I think about it and let me go. I was coming home in the car, and then I thought, I always tell public that if my country will need me and call me in a time of need, I will respond and be there as a son. And then it occurred to me that the voice of the country cannot come out of nowhere. So it takes a form and shape, and in this regard, it was the Prime Minister. And through his mouth, it was my country calling. So when I came home, I already made my decision. So I said, I basically announced to my wife and that I'm gonna start a different career. Well, then I called the chairman of the board and had a coffee with him and said, basically I didn't ask no one, but just announced my decision. Again, I provided you with the reason why I decided to enter politics.
Right.
If politicians were doing their things right, I would do my things right, this country would evolve. So I was doing everything except politics when I was a banker. They screwed it up big time. So we were on the verge of a civil war, and when the civil war breaks, look at Libya, look at Syria, look at Bosnia, look at Kosovo. Sovereignty is easily lost. Economic sovereignty plus political sovereignty. There will be UN, and there will be areas of influence. We have two neighbors. Probably they split up the country into two areas of influence, and we're done. It's not. I don't take our freedom for granted. So, I always try to advocate that to people. We should not let anything stupid happen now, because it's very easy to lose what has been fought for so hard and for so many centuries.
And you mentioned that you're talking about doing the right things. What are the right things that you wanted to do?
Since the guy screwed it, I tried, by moving myself out of the banking and becoming a public person, I could finally enjoy the freedom of speaking my soul out. So in the bank I could talk about the interest rates, I could talk about deposits, I could talk about how nice IFC is to have as a shareholder, but I could not point a finger at somebody in the high office and say you are a damn asshole. So now I do that,
Can you do that
and try to make sense to people. But we need to stop the private personal attacks. We need to become more constructive. We need to raise our ideas. We need to raise our visions, but not call him a dumbass, because it's counterproductive. It makes people more defensive, and they attack you again. So I think trying to be a new face to inspire other young, talented people entering public office, public service, was the way for me, was my contribution to my country. So since I entered politics, many of my friends have joined. Many of my friends have joined the party. They come to me, and Bolt, who was here, he joined, and if you were to ask him, he will say it's because of me. I was on the way to the airport, said, Gan. I had many talks to my friends. Why don't you come in?
So there's a sense of commitment.
And Bolt one day called me and said, shit, Gan, you won. I said, I won what? I told you I will not enter politics for life. I did. So this is what I believe I can do. People who have certain regard for me will hear what I'm saying and will clean up the mess. You hear about the arrests, you hear about the president, ex-president fight, you hear all sorts of slander or criticism internationally of Mongolian politics. Ulaanbaatar was 16th after London, New York, Shanghai. So it was a weird city in this list of the cities, but it was done. So I think I can help people understand the issues better, talk to each other better. Mongolia Economic Forum, the third time, it was organized third time this year. It was 1,000 people. Prime Minister opens it. He takes part in the sessions. President closes it. He answers to the questions from the hall. It's a two-day event where we have all people from all walks of life talk to the policymakers, and it's a very constructive dialogue that we were able to create. You can see some pictures on the and some of the publications that we do at the Mongolian Economic Forum, where I serve as a Secretary General. But basically, it was an idea. I had to lobby, go around it, talk to people for 3 years before this Prime Minister supported it, and it happened, and it became a standalone, non-partisan, independent organization.
Wow, Gavin, that's obviously a very strong move. I think Koskaya, you wanted to perhaps follow up on this one.
Yes, I'm sure with these stories you're inspiring us, and you are, probably throughout your life have inspired many. But it would be very helpful to see, what has inspired you. From the time that you started to now, are there any role models that you have followed, and how have they changed? And connected to that, at some point in time when you are going to make that call on behalf of the country to others, what do you think that you can say that inspires Mongolia, and what role models should Mongolia be looking at, if any, as it grows to the next level?
One can fall asleep to dream, or dream to change the world. That inspires me. I think many people used to accuse me of being too romantic, dreaming, saying some things that were completely impossible. But I tried to prove them wrong. And it's not just positive things that in life that make you stronger. I think negative stuff that happens to you also makes you who you are. hardships, which I don't want to talk about, all the tragedies that happen to all of us, which I don't want to also talk about, make you stronger. In Russian, there was a book during socialism. It was a book, как закалялась сталь, как по-английски?
How the steel was
forged. How steel was forged. Как закалялась сталь. My Russian is, my language is very difficult to switch. But I think that's also illustrative. You need to train your body, but also you need to train your soul through experiencing and surviving in very difficult, impossible to imagine type of situations. So that, again, once you come out of that, you see life and what you were given in a different light, and you get gratified, you become humble, because we take everything for granted, like this air that we're breathing. We don't notice it as long as it is there. Once it's not there, we suffocate. So there are things that we take for granted in our daily lives that we should always praise and be thankful for. I think that life is one of them, and the most important one. That's inspiring. I don't have particular people, role models. I get inspired by different actions of particular people, but not like the whole lifetime idea. No. I believe in. I don't believe in perfect people.
What do your sons think of you?
My sons? Why he is not home?
You talked about the importance of developing the next generation of leaders. That's a big challenge for Mongolia. Going back a little bit, and you're obviously involved in a lot of organizations where you have to promote people and figure out who are potential leaders when you're not around all the time. But going back a little bit, you referred to, in your own leadership trainings, these things where things were identified that, they said were problematic or challenges. When you're looking for people and trying to figure out who to work with, who has the potential, are you looking for people like you? Do you look for people who have those same qualities, or are you more cautious about those?
Well, I believe in teamwork. So, with everything that I got myself entangled in, it is impossible to not work in a team. So I work, the teams do the work. I do the posing, basically. So when you try to assemble teams, you look for different qualities, depending on the type of the job that you trying to do. And so I think it will be a mistake to have, like 10 different guys working in one team. So it will be important to assemble a team of people who will complement each other with their strength. And that will be a highly effective team. So basically, depending on the position, again, I like people who come to me and ask the first question, which is not about the salary, but about the job. So I think that speaks for the character and the sheer intent of that person. So if the intent is to really succeed and get things done, if that you can identify through the interview, that's perfect. If it's not there, it's not worth it. The guys who come to me and say, what's the position that I will do and how much will I earn? I don't take them seriously, basically. I want people who will give their everything to the job and make it happen. So it's not just about the salary, but it's they are doing it for themselves, and they're doing it because they want to earn a credit in front of themselves and in front of me and in front of what, but and not for anything else. And I think it is important to see in that person's eyes, in the face, in the attitude that he really means to succeed. Profession, experience, knowledge doesn't matter. If that person has the will, he will do.
Yeah, very powerful. I think that's something we also come, as we discuss in our leadership kind of training, it really distills to these criteria that are beyond just, I have this experience. One can just resonate with it. Yeah. Margaret, I think you want to.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier in the meeting about your vision for an equitable growth for Mongolia. And I mean, in what you've done, certainly with Hassan in the microfinance world, there's been a lot of innovation and thought leadership in what you did and how you pushed that forward. How can you transfer a lot of this innovative energy and this new thinking into your current role to achieve your vision of equitable growth in Mongolia?
I'm a very lucky guy because there needs to be an element of luck in whatever we do. You need to be the right person, the right time, at the right place to get some things. So doing the deputy or vice minister position at this time for Mongolia is incredible learning experience because we are experiencing rapid growth. The budget, treasury coffers are being filled. Last year our total budget was about 4.2 billion rubles. This year we approved a budget of 6.4 trillion rubles. So it's over 50% increase year on year. It's massive, 50% increase. The economy grew in nominal terms 28.8%. So we were officially classified now by World Bank as a lower middle income country. It's a rapid change, and the inflow of foreign direct investment, inflow of export revenues is overheating this economy. So we're fighting with inflation. The budget of 6.4 trillion rubles, again, as also as an illustration of how we're trying to spend that money. In 2011, we spent about 650 billion rubles on investments, infrastructure, the hospitals, schools, etc. 650. In 2012, we'll spend 2 trillion inside the 4.4. So it's a 3 times increase year on year. And how much we spend on trying to improve the infrastructure from the budget, plus PPP, plus Development Bank of Mongolia. Development Bank will spend $1 billion, it's 1.3 trillion rubles on hard infrastructure, including housing. The government currently is doing cash handouts. It was a populist move. It is not appreciated by anyone. We all know it's wrong. It will stop. So how do we make sure that the revenues that the government is taking in is spread out equally? Investments, infrastructure, housing, hospitals, schools. Plus, we promised last time that we will give direct shares in some of the mines. So we are doing that. I don't think it's good because it provides some access, equitable access, but it basically lacks that element of intergenerational transfer. So the state has created or is now preparing after these elections to create a fund, a sovereign wealth fund, which will become a massive investor. It will have two roles. It will provide for the transfers, but also it will serve as a way for us to manage our economy better, to insulate this hot money that comes from export revenue, to take it out of the country and invest elsewhere, so that we avoid pumping in all that money into our local economy. So that's going to become a law, starting from the next, after this election. At the same time, I didn't succeed in one thing, and that was issuing of a sovereign bond by the government of Mongolia. Instead, we went with the development bank. That was the vision of the former Minister of Finance, and he just stepped down 4 months ago, so it was impossible for me to go over him to push the idea that we needed sovereign bonds last year before the whole Greek issue. I didn't succeed, but I still believe that we need to borrow currently to accelerate the development of certain projects. You see the roads, you see the sewage, water, electricity, are all big issues in Mongolia, and they not only affect the way of living for many Mongols, but it also becomes a drag on the economy, the inefficiencies that we have.
But in that, I mean, massive, let's say, growth and acceleration, I mean, during your role, was that a smooth ride to get, the budget increased so much, or how did you apply was there anything on leadership that you needed to apply, or it just came automatically because there were more revenues?
I wouldn't say that I had any particular input into that process. I came very late in the process, so it's been basically 18 months, so things were already moving. So anything that has happened so far, very little input, but the things that, the seeds that have been planted in terms of new thinking inside the government, inside the Ministry of Finance, how do we manage the stock markets, how do we make sure that the banking is growing smoothly, how we go about wealth funds or go about fundraising for development infrastructure, how we go about managing inflation, how we go about openness and transparency of what we're doing, transparency of the budget, transparency of the tenders, etc. So there's a whole list of things that I could assign to myself as having accomplished in these 18 months, but not the info. So
yeah, again, it's great to see you in politics. Despite all what you have said about the unpleasant things about yourself, you do have a unique quality, which is you can inspire passion in people, and that's very good for politics. And sometimes among ourselves, among the field that we know you, we are thinking that maybe in future you will be the president or prime minister in this country, and hopefully you will reach it there. And just to follow up from our colleagues' questions, you talk about the will of the economy, and I think that's a very good, fascinating vision. Hopefully one day will scare away the dragon. and not to be a competitive and sustainable economy in the long term, the economy will normally need to have good manufacturing capacity, good innovation capacity. And the ultimate end will be to create more value added inside Mongolia. So what's your vision for that, and what do you think Mongolia could go along that road?
I think the mining, focus on the mining should be very limited in terms of time frame, but we should make a conscious decision that we will jumpstart the economy, get the necessary cash advance to achieve a certain level of growth, and put the ingredients into the place. So to me, mining is just a good starting launchpad. I think the wolf economy, because it has certain unique characteristics. We are sitting in between two large antagonist countries. Russian bear, which sleeps half of the year, wakes up for half of the year. Chinese dragon, which slept for about 200 years, but is now taking off, and in 10-15 years will overtake America as the largest economy. And it will fly for long. I don't think we want to scare the dragon away. We want to, because the wolf was the animal that has, and Mongols have, is the nation that has maintained our way of life beside the dragon for many thousands of years. I think we have the ability to capitalize on the growth that we see and the opportunities that we see in China. I think Mongolia wants to build a mutually beneficial, equal partnership with all our neighbors. We will want to diversify away from China in terms of dependency. It's going to have to become a two-way flow. We will want to push for Russians and Chinese buy not only coal from us in its raw form. We will push that our neighbors buy meat, buy our cashmere, buy finished products, and help us build the factories. And we'll use the mining as a leverage, as a wild card in those negotiations. We will want the Russians to put a gas pipeline through Mongolia. And again, because we have now money and clout, we will, be able to negotiate better terms, whether it comes to the railroad or to the gas pipeline or helping us with the power plant, mini reactor. This is the things that will be materialized in the next 10 years. And that's why I'm excited, because this, you wouldn't believe, I was born in socialism. We were not allowed to pronounce the name of Chinese. I didn't know what the chewing gum was, or banana was when I was 14. It was a shortage and deficit economy. We had to line up to get our food. The basic food was flour, salt, water, and meat. There were no vegetables, nothing at all. I've seen the transition. We had the food rationing in the beginning of 90s with the hyperinflation. We've gone through all the hardship, and starting from 2005, things started happening. So I didn't know that I will actually see in my lifetime that day when Mongolia will become a middle-income country. But it became real, and not only that, but the wolf people on a GDP per capita basis will become the richest people on the planet before I retire. 28.8% growth last year. Real growth of 17.3%. You don't need to have a big calculator to see the math. $3,200 on a per capita basis right now. 3.2. This year we'll hit 5 million bucks. And within 20 years we'll hit $35,000 per capita basis. $35,000. So all the people you see on the streets potentially are multi-millionaires and doctors. And on a GDP per capita basis, we will also have the largest number of billionaires. And we have already made billionaires who have created enormous businesses. And believe me, there is a couple of dozens in the making right now. And that speaks against the equitable growth, but I don't think we want to kill the entrepreneurial spirit. We want people to work hard and get rewarded. Of course, we will try to tax them high. Right now it's 10% flat tax, personal income tax, 10%, corporate income, 10%, VAT, 10%. Perfect place to come and live and succeed.
Your optimism is very, very contagious. So you worked with IFC before. In the context of your vision for Mongolia, where do you see IFC playing a stronger role and having an impact?
Well, it is an opportunity for me actually to that I'm standing in front of the leaders of IFC, and one day some of you, a team of you, will manage this organization. I think staying ahead of the developments is always good, and I'm sure in 10 years' time we'll meet again, and you in different capacity, me in different capacity, and we'll discuss, what has transpired, and many things will have happened since our encounter today. I think you guys have been an enormous support for Mongolia. I wish things were a bit faster inside IFC, but not now. I'm not meaning now, but inside IFC back then, because I really had to talk for like 2 and 3 years to get certain things done. So I think that the decision-making efficiency has improved a lot, and I know all the things that Lars was doing. What was that? The local, global. He was mentioning it, and when he just took office 3 years ago or something like that, 4 years ago. I don't remember when I met him, but 2 years ago in Washington. No. I met him in his office in Washington. Actually, it was a nice dining room inside IFC. I forgot when it was, but he was talking about his vision. I think some things is happening, and I think the fact that you are here in Mongolia and doing this learning experiences speaks for itself. I mean, you guys are gearing up for something interesting, and I congratulate you for being part of this. And Mongolia values our partners. We want our friends to have good businesses here, teach us from the best experiences that you get internationally. And IFC is a network that we, I think, can capitalize a lot. Because leapfrogging is one aspect of the world. And leapfrogging in many regards. We don't want to follow on exact footsteps of the developed world to reach the stage you guys are in right now. We need to bring in the best and the latest technology, innovation. Here, when we start building our new schools, our new roads, our new power plants, we will not use obsolete and old second-hand technology. We will want the best. And that's where IFC can help us identify those proven technologies, know-how, materials that we can bring in here and build the new Mongolia. And IFC is, just going through the introduction, I think it's wonderful to see so many people come here to Mongolia, learn about Mongolia, and I'm absolutely positive that you have seen certain things that you want to see again, and maybe come back as friends, with friends and families, and I hope that these memories will stay with you forever. And whatever you do, inside IFC, outside IFC, and this human relationship will make IFC a huge, successful organization in Mongolia, and you will do right things which people will appreciate. And it is important that Mongolian people understand what you guys are up to, what are you doing, and how you were there when we needed you most.
Well, thank you so much.
I mean, this is...
Yeah, just wanted to have... it's 5 p.m., but if you don't mind, we have one last question from Sophie, and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a fascinating story about your past and also the future vision for Mongolia. You have had experience as being an entrepreneur, working for the private sector, and now in the public sector. And there's a lot of trends in your leadership style. You have a lot of drive, conviction, vision, and mission, and go for what you think is the right thing. I wanted to know, have you had to adjust your leadership style in different roles, and especially now in the role in the public sector? Is there anything you had to change in the way you are as a leader?
I think one, constantly learn. We learn from our mistakes and things, and try to learn things, and reinforce the positive qualities that you have, and try to get rid of, leave the marching orders, and you expect to receive reports on how excellent it came out to be. In politics, actually, you have to use different techniques to get things done. So I have to use other people, use connections, say things that I don't really think I believe in order to get to the point where I want to be. So that's the hardest thing inside politics. There is lots of pressure, and there is lots of lying, and there is lots of insincerity, and there is lots of stabbing in the back. So I have to survive, basically, and when you stand in front of the people, for example, here I feel more or less home, but in front of guys who would listen to you differently if you're a banker. Now, since I'm their servant, they treat you differently. So you have to actually agree with everything that is being said in your face. Because once you lose it, your temper, you lose, everybody's sympathy. It's tricky, you probably politics is not something, it's not my forte, but I will have to learn it hard way then, and on June 28th I will see if I'll make any further strides into it. And if I do, or even if I don't actually, I will continue speaking for Mongolia. And even if I don't enter into elected office, I think it might be better because it will give me ultimate freedom to criticize whatever these guys are doing.
Thank you, Guy. I mean, this is wonderful, obviously, you having shared all this with us. I think we learned an enormous amount of things with you. We will also take back a few things, like I think all this group is really committed of making IFC faster at times. I took note. But I think a few things will stay very strongly with us. I took a few notes, like your comment of people cannot be poor. I mean, really struck me. I mean, it's clearly something I will take with me, the way how you looked at this. And interestingly enough, the other thing I kind of took note is the one sentence I often share with very dear friends is, you cannot prolong your life, but you can intensify it. And I heard you say, I mean, with the slope is just a beautiful anecdote, which I never visualized from that angle. But I think on behalf of all of us, we are really grateful for giving us so much time in a very busy schedule. Obviously, with June 28 coming very closely. And I think the one thing I can say, you have seen there are many people from many countries, so you will have now friends. You have already friends in many countries, but perhaps a few countries more. I for myself can say Mexico, you are welcome anytime. We just had Xinjiang with a mission from China there.
I just missed the meeting of White Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. So I think on behalf of the group, again, thank you so much for your time. All the best wishes for the endeavors that you have in front of you, independently, as you said, of the outcome. And I think we all hope to stay in touch and meet again in whatever function or form it will be.
Thank you. Let me just say a sentence in the closing. These guys are Robert is my PA, and he's gonna distribute my name cards with email. Minder Sheikh is the young guy who came from Boston, started a company, he employs about 70 people. His company is called New Media Marketing Agency. At Harvard, attending a course at Harvard when I met him, and we talked, and he came back and started this company, and he's helping me out now with things here, and then 12 of his colleagues. So in closing, I just want, on the poverty note, please, in Germany there is this tale of Baron Munchausen. How do you pronounce it in German? Munchausen. Okay, it was very popular when I was a kid, and it's like, some things that I didn't understand as a kid, because it was fairy tales, but it was not very amusing. There was one story when one day he rides his horse, he falls into a ditch, a marsh, and with his horse, and he asks for help. Help! Pull me out, guys! I'm drowning. And then finally, and then later people ask, so what happened? Who helped you? Nobody. I just asked for help. Nobody came, so I took my ponytail and pulled myself out of the marsh with a horse. So we just. I didn't understand the message, but then with microcredit, I came to a realization that if a person has no will, nobody else can pull that person out of the poverty. So people will need to have the courage, will, power, some skills, and be provided with some opportunities, such as access to markets or information or, public health services, in order for us to help them leave poverty and live in a dignified manner. And so that's one of the reasons why I left microfinance, because I didn't want to become a strangling rope. You throw a rope, that person who is in a marsh, if he doesn't want to take it, you will strangle him by trying to save him. So that's what donors and international financial institutions, I think, need to remember. I talk about Baron Nicholson since 2003 on all microfinance events that I attended. Another thing that I just want to leave you with, take a deep breath every morning and remember one saying: today is the last day of the rest of your life, and live that day like it's your first day. Forget about the past troubles. I think it's very, very refreshing to think that this day is unique, and thank you for spending this beautiful afternoon with me and listening to what I had to say. Thank you for inviting me.